Good morning and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. Today we have a guest speaker, Jeanette Lee from Yooralla. Her role in Yooralla is a customer rights and empowerment practitioner. And today's topic is housing. We'll be talking about how she assists people with disabilities to explore housing options within Yooralla and other SDA options on private and public housing. Welcome, Jeanette Lee. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, now that we're in lockdown, we're in our houses a lot more. So I guess we want them to be, comfortable and secure places where, we feel that we can do what we want to do. So housing is a very important thing in our lives, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So just to start with, I'll let you know what I do in my role.
Can I interrupt you for a second? We have to do the acknowledgement country. So sorry about that. So we'll just do the acknowledgement of country, and then we'll kick off after that. So.
Yep.
So Colleen, would you like to read out the acknowledgement of country?
Sure. And hello everyone. D&D Your Life, Your Voice project acknowledges the traditional owners of the land to which we work and live and recognise their continuity, connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. We remember all self-advocates who have worked hard over the years for the rights for themselves and other people with disabilities and human rights for all. Nothing about us without us.
Thank you for that. And sorry, I forgot to introduce you. So welcome. And we'll just kick off with Jeanette Lee talking about housing.
Okay, so I'll just start off with my role at Yooralla. So I'm the Customer Rights and Empowerment Practitioner. I assist our clients who have disabilities to have a voice, a strong voice within the organisation and within their lives and out in the community. So help them to speak up, to learn the skills of how to self-advocate for themselves, how to get involved in the community, to access the community, to achieve their goals, to become more empowered, so to have more control over their lives. So it's, very much about empowering people with disabilities to live the life that they choose. Also run some programs in like areas of community access or empowerment, human relations, and we run a self-advocacy group called Your Empowerment Support, as well as working with individuals to make complaints if they're not happy about something, if they want to do something that they're having problems with. So we try and break down the barriers for people and know their rights and, how to really make a change in their lives. So in regards to housing, which we're focusing on today, I have worked with quite a few of our clients with disabilities over the years to explore options in housing. So there are quite a few different options within the disability area and in the mainstream that people can apply for. For me, I have a disability, a physical disability called spinal muscular atrophy, which makes my muscles weak and deteriorate over the years. And so I use a wheelchair to get around. So for me, I needed accessible housing that suited my needs. because I'm working and I get an income, quite a good income. I was able to buy my own house, and but I was able to get some assistance to modify the house, so to put in ramps, to modify the bathroom, to make it so I can move around in my wheelchair and maneuver. I have a flat shower, so it's no steps or anything in the bathroom or within the whole house. Put in a ramp, and just made things a bit more accessible for me in my place. So that's some kind of support you can get, getting the right equipment put in, and alterations to the house. I also use a shower chair, and sometimes use a hoist to help me to transfer into the shower chair and toilet. So for me, I just bought my own place, and sometimes we come across people with disabilities that do have the resources to purchase, or they may have family that have left them a home, and then they need to get the supports in, but they're having their own sort of home, the brick and mortar. So I also use support workers. So if you're living in your own home or in the community, you can access funding for support workers through the NDIS, and they come in every day in the morning for actually 3 hours, and then at night time I have them as well come and assist me to bed. So in the morning it's sort of doing all my personal care and stuff like that, and then a little bit during the day as well I have some support. So funding, getting the right funding to support you in your home and your housing is very important, because if we don't have the right supports and the right place to go to live in, then can be pretty stuck at either living with your parents, or some people get stuck in nursing homes, in hospitals, and they in special accommodation houses. Getting the right supports is very important.
Where do you start from, Jeanette? Where do you start from to get the right supports? That you're mentioning. Where do you, like, someone's just looking at this program and they're going, where do you start? Like, you just mentioned so many things that people need support with, and it seems a bit overwhelming.
So it's important that you talk to your support coordinator within the NDIS. That's a National Disability Insurance Scheme. You can, if you have a disability that you do need supports, you need to apply for the NDIS, and as part of your plan, you would need to ask for a support coordinator to help you to explore these housing options. You can actually get up to 100 hours to explore housing, and to help you to organize finding a place, or finding there's government funding and disability group homes, as well as independent units that you can get support in, as well as mainstream housing, the public housing. If you can apply for public housing, you get priority as a person with a disability, and so you can get a unit, fitted out to made accessible for you. So there's a few different programs. So if you like, I can go through some of them. So the the NDIS funded accommodation is called SDA, and that's Specialist Disability Accommodation. And they're mostly given to people with quite high support needs. So that need, probably at least, 6 hours of support a day, or more probably. They're usually got 24-hour support. Some may not have all day. They might have just morning and night. So it depends on which kind of housing you're looking at. So under SDA, Yooralla has a lot of SDA housing, and a lot of them are like the group homes. They were probably the older model of SDA, where you had like a 4 or 5 bedroom house, and you shared it with other people with disabilities, and there was support there when you needed it. So we have got a tenancy coordinator called Lachlan Hosking that you can ring if you're interested. I've got a list of accommodation available at the moment, like I'm just looking at it now. We've got houses in the country as well: Cobram, Sale, Ringwood, Marutna, Box Hill, Hyatt, Mordialloc, Brookfield, Carnegie, Albion and St Albans, Noble Park, Thornbury and Ashburton, and Frankston. So at the moment we've got a few vacancies. So that they're not for the whole house. It's for for a bit like to share with others. So a bedroom and use of all the other facilities in the house. And some are group homes. There are a few that are independent units, private units, but the support workers have their own little unit, and they go between all the different units to provide support for the customers or the residents of those units. So that's probably a model that now we're moving more towards, where people have a bit more control. They have their own space, and then they ask they can buzz for support or press a button or whatever for someone to come. But some people actually do like communal living a bit more. So having, a few other 4 people in a house sharing. So there are different options that people can choose.
Would you like to screen share that document, Jeanette, or not?
Pardon?
Would you like to screen share that document that you have? Or is it like a bit difficult or to read, or what do you think?
I can screen share it.
Okay.
This document from Yooralla, and then people can have a look.
I'll make you come home.
Okay. Yeah, can I do it now?
You should be able to do it now. Can you see a shared screen?
Yeah. I'll just okay. So no. Can you see that?
I can see that. Can you see that, there? Yep.
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Are you able to see that, Julie?
I can, yes.
So every month we put out the Yooralla accommodation for adults, the vacancies. So this is July. So they're under SDA and the different categories. So as you can see, these are fully accessible ones. The one in Cobram, Sale, Ringwood. I think all of these are 5 bedroom homes, and they just describe their and quite a bit of space. There's Box Hill. This one's even 6 bedrooms. Hyatt. They're now actually reducing the number of people living together to, I think, maximum, maybe not as big as 5. I think probably 4. So these are other ones. This one here, Morty Alec, is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit. So you have your own space, and it's in a group of 4 other units. There's this Carnegie one is also one sharing with one other person. So within SDA funding, it's subsidized funding. So subsidized housing. So you don't have to pay like full rent, like private rental. It's a bit like the amount you wouldn't have to pay for like community disability housing. So then you get subsidized with your rent. I think you pay maybe 30% of your income, your pension, and they provide the support. That's part of the package, the disability support workers that help you within those homes. So probably only about 6% of people with disabilities live in group homes or this kind of accommodation, because they're trying to encourage people more to be in the community if you can. But but these houses are available for people, and they're becoming more into promoting, the independence and control by the residents. And Yooralla is also looking at different models, of support. So there's that model. There's the new SDA funding that the government's looking at is also with apartments. They have joined in with some building companies who have built big blocks of apartments, and within them they've included probably about 10 wheelchair accessible and very spacious apartments in there for people with high support needs that use wheelchairs and hoists and everything. So there are some really nice apartments around that now. It's only come in the last couple of years, probably 2 or 3 years or so. You can live, there's some in the city, there's Richmond, there's Abbotsford, there's Ringwood. And people get their own apartment, and there's a carer's apartment that will service the other people with disabilities spread within the whole building. So it might be a building of 100 apartments, and 10 of them might be fully accessible and have the support of the disability workers that are in a carer's apartment. So they get buzz when they're needed. But the people still have their funding for their regular support workers in the morning and at nights, and when they need them for community access. But the 24-hour support is just more for emergencies or for little things that need to be done. You might drop something and you can't pick it up, or you've got a little bit stuck, and you can ring them to come.
Can I ask you?
Yep.
So can you tell us the reasoning why there's 10 DSAs, disability special accommodation, rather than a whole unit, like a whole block? So what's the
Well,
reason behind that?
it's, yeah, I guess, it's very much about integration into the community. So, you don't really want to have a whole big block of apartments and they're just all people with disabilities. So it's about we're part of the community, and it's important to, to interact with all sorts of people. So there'll be people from all different backgrounds and cultures, and yeah. So there, some of them might be public housing within there, but some of them are most sort of people have purchased them as well. So the whole move with housing is to mix everyone up together and not just have, ghettos of different, races or people with disabilities or whatever.
I've noticed that some of the SCAs are located in some pretty prestigious areas. So that's a real insight into the latest push for housing stock, disability housing stock.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we don't want to push people in sort of the just into the poorer suburbs and all that, because quite a few of them are on pensions, but we need to really be on an equal footing with other people. Yeah.
So in the American experience, they call projects like and the problem with that is that um, we don't want to we want integration into the general population, and in the Australian context, they're called commission, housing commission houses. So it's a really good initiative. This has been going on for a little while, but over the last, say, 3 or 4 years, it's actually more housing is going up all around Victoria, especially
Yeah.
where we're
Yeah,
from.
there's a real need for housing because, as we see, there are probably quite a few homeless people too on the streets. Yeah,
We were
which is
talking. We had a
a
guest
problem.
on. We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and she said from Surrey. She said that there's over 50,000 people on the wait list for the public housing. 50,000,
Yeah,
and
right.
there's no real how can we put this, affordable housing for people.
Mm,
And I'm just
yeah,
wondering what that means, because like you're mentioning, there's some available spots for people, and I think that's very lucky and fortunate, because if there's 50,000 people, are waiting for housing, and how many of them would have a disability who's going to get somewhere to live, which is the most basic need we all have.
yeah,
And also, just on that,
yeah,
it shouldn't be based on luck, and knowledge, like luck, knowledge, knowing the right people. In a first world country, it shouldn't be that way.
yeah. But it seems to be, yeah, who you know and who you get to support you to advocate um, this, yeah, with the housing, the system, and you do get priority if you have a disability. You also get priority if you're, I think, single parent, or if you're homeless, or if you're elderly. But there's also what's called community housing, and community housing is similar to public housing, but it's run by like a community-based organization, and they choose the people. They have a committee that choose the people. So you have to be on the public housing list, but you can apply to be on community housing, and they sometimes pick similar-minded people. They that will get on well together and stuff like that. in an area, like there's some aged community housing, or there's so there are different units or houses, maybe in a similar area, that kind of thing, that people can also apply for. So I have assisted someone to apply for community housing. They have got some accessible community housing. So you have to apply for be on a public housing list, and then, put down that you're interested, and then they will consider you. And we've got a few people that have managed to get into community housing, and they're people with disabilities that are not so high support, that need like 24-hour support care. So they can be people that maybe have a bit of support. Someone comes in and out of their place now and then. So the options are with public housing, community housing, disability, specialist disability accommodation. That's for the really high support people. And then I guess there's also private rental, which, some people with disabilities have to go into because they haven't been able to get into places that suit them.
So what's the dilemma, Jeanette? What's the dilemma between security of tenure in community or public housing and private housing?
Well, private housing is, you're under the landlord. If they want to kick you out, or your lease is finished, they can pretty much move you out. But with public housing, it's a lot more stable, and it's a lot cheaper because you're only paying a percentage of your income, whereas private housing, as we know, can be very expensive, and a lot of people on Centrelink would be really struggling to be on private housing.
What happens?
Rents are now like $300-400 a week or whatever, 500, depending on where you're living.
What happens when in the private sector of housing, you need some adjustments? What happens then?
Well, I think by law now you are able to make modifications to the reasonable modifications to the house or apartment you're in. But often they'll say that if you were to move out, they want it to be back like it was before. In some cases, you may not be able to, but they may agree, okay, this might actually add value to their house. So they are supposed to let you now put in ramps and modify bathrooms and things like that.
So are all these costs?
But you usually have to either pay for it or get some funding from the government. The government will provide some funding, but sometimes you have to wait for months and years to be able to get the support you need to modify your kitchen, your bathroom, and apply through the NDIS. You got to get OT reports and support letters. So it can be quite a process, but it is possible to get it done. So with SDA fund housing, they would make it all accessible for you. That's just part of the system. And same with public housing. If they're taking someone with a wheelchair, they are obliged to make it accessible for you. And add some extra things that may assist you. So most people with disabilities can't really afford to buy their own house or rent privately. So I guess they are often waiting for, different housing that is made accessible for them. that's subsidized in some way. Yeah, so I've recently worked with a client whose dream was to live more independently, have more control over her life, have her own place, live by herself. She's been living in accommodation with 5 other people actually, since she was in early 20s, and she's now in her 40s. So yeah, she felt she was part of a Yooralla accommodation, but I've now assisted her to actually, explore the options outside of Yooralla and apply for one of these new apartments that are part of the SDA, Special Disability Accommodation. And yeah, and it's taken over nearly 2 years, but she's about to move in now into Ringwood. There's a really nice apartment block that has been built, and she's got one of the apartments. And they've made things accessible so that she doesn't have to use a key to open the door. She's got cerebral palsy. It's difficult to use a key, so it's got automatic opening. Her lights are automatic as well. The blinds, the TV, the heating. So that was all going to be made accessible for her. So with now electronic controls, environmental controls, it's a lot easier now for people with disabilities to be able to just either press a switch or press your mobile phone. You can control it through your mobile phone. And, she's been pretty excited, and it's taken quite a while, but she's been determined that, she'll keep at it. And, COVID came and that delayed things. So it's been quite a long time. Hopefully it's going to happen soon. They said within a few more weeks. So, a dream of having that more independence and control over your own space is very important, I think, for people. Because sometimes in the group home and that, it can be harder to have control because you've got to fit in with the schedules as well as the workers that come, and you have to fit in with the other people in the house as well and share the supports that are available. So there's different models of housing. The other model that's now being funded by the NDIS is called independent. I'll just have a look. Living options. And this is more about they're not so much funding the building, the bricks and mortar, but they're funding help the coordination and helping you to explore different options and set up systems that may help. So I'll just read to you what individualized living options is. So it's funding for home and living supports to enable people to live in a home of their own. So they'll give you a ILO package, so that's independent living options package of supports that let you choose the home you live in and set up supports the way that best suits you. So it's not funding for the home itself. It's focused on working with the person and their family or supporters to consider their needs and preferences and design a flexible package of supports. So there's a few things that are being looked at as models. For example, living with your housemate that and or sharing, and then having someone live with you that agrees to support you. So they may actually get a subsidy from government. So they're for people that don't need that much support. They may get free rent as well. So there's host arrangements where the person with disability lives in someone else's house who is willing to take them in and provide them with supports, and they may get some kind of subsidy from the government. Or you may look at living alone and sharing and getting some help, to coordinate your supports for you. So there's different ways. There's host support, a mentor support. Sometimes there's volunteers, or setting up a structure where you may have an agreement from, your neighbor as well, that they will, if in emergency, you could go to them. So they help you connect with your community and get the right supports in. So it's just being flexible to see what works for people. Some people have their own family home, but they need maybe other people to share with them, to give them some support. So that's, in that case, they could maybe give free rent to someone who will provide some support for them. But it's something that's arranged, that is agreed on, so people know, what they're expected to provide. So that's called ILO at the moment. It's something that the government is asking people to get involved with a consultation at the moment. And there's a survey and a paper that we may go over if we still got time. So they're developing, the NDIS are developing a new home and living policy that will inform the way we support NDIS participants to pursue their home and living goals. They want to give more choice and control to participants over where they live, who they live with, and the supports they use. We also want to support participants to build their skills they need to live independently. So the NDIS want to hear from participants living in a variety of living situations to find out more about their goals and preferences around where they live, housing option tailored to your goals and preferences and needs. Sorry, I just have to have a bit of water. Who they live with. So some people want to live alone, some with friends, partners, family, or chosen others. Who helps them? So looking at whether they've got informal supports or funded NDIS supports, or family support. The things they use. So using technology, assistive technology and modifications to their place, and how they want to live their lives. So the day-to-day routine, socializing, work. So they've this home and living consultation paper that's I can put up here actually to share with you guys that we can go over. Did you have any questions before we do this? Julie,
Claire, do you have any questions?
I do, but that's for a bit later on about things. I think the flow's going well. We'd like to find out. It seems important what you're saying, Jeanette. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we might just go into this paper and I'll share it. I'll just get it up on the screen. Okay, and share the screen. Can you see that?
No.
Not yet.
Oh, wait on. Maybe I haven't shared it yet. What about now?
It's coming up. I can
Yes.
see it now. Yep.
You can see it? Yeah. So it's called An Ordinary Life at Home. We want to know what you think. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is easy English paper. And we'll just go to the start of it. So what is this paper about? We want to make the NDIS easier to use. We also want to make sure it is fairer, consistent. When something is consistent, it is done the same way every time. So they're making a new home and living policy, and a policy is a plan for how we should do things, and policy is where the rules come from. So they want to find out what people with disability think, what families and carers think, what disability organisations think. And in this paper, they suggest how things could change, and they want you to tell them what you think about what they suggest. So our vision is what we want home and living supports to be like in the future. We want you to think about how you want to live your life at home. We want you to be able to make decisions about what you need. We want you to have the same chances to make life's decisions as everyone else. At the moment, many home and living supports aren't available. It can be hard to change your home and living supports. At the moment, too many people with disability are expected to live in large group homes or boarding homes. There are places where people with disabilities, these are places where people with disability live together and get support. But they don't often get to choose who else lives there, how the home is run. It can be hard to understand all the choices you must make. And meetings about your plan don't focus on your needs. So NDIS wants you to understand how to use your funding to live life the way you want to live it. We can support you to do this. Funding is the money from your plan that pays for the supports and services you need. So you use your funding to pay for supports and services. So this home and living funding, the ILO funding, doesn't include things like rent, groceries, household bills, such as electricity or gas. To live an ordinary life like other Australians, you can use funding from NDIS, other government services, and work with governments. They will work with governments to make sure you get the right supports from the right service. You might also use your own money to pay for supports and services. You can work out if you must pay for a support or service. So they say, ask yourself if someone without a disability would have to pay for that support or service. So if someone else pays for something, then you should probably also pay for it. But if someone doesn't pay for things like disability support workers because they don't need it, then that should be paid for by the government. So an example is maybe going to a gym. Normally a lot of people go to gyms and they pay for it. So if you have a disability, you still need to pay to go to the gym, but you can get a support worker that is paid for by the government to accompany you to help you in the gym. But sometimes people think, oh, we've got this funding, we can spend it on anything, but it's only things that you need specifically because of your disability. If you need it, just because you like doing it or whatever, then you should pay for it yourself. So what are home and living supports? Home and living supports include support at home to be more independent, changing your home to suit your needs. When you are independent, you can do things for yourself. A new way of setting up the support you want at home. The support you get from your ILO is different for each person. You can use ILO supports to decide how you want to live, where you want to live, who you want to live with. But the ILO doesn't include the house you live in, so you need to have the accommodation.
So does that mean that NDIS or the government believes that your basic right is to have housing?
Yeah, it's important for everyone to have housing, right housing. So with ILO, they don't provide the house. So it's those people that are either in, community housing or it could be government housing, or can rent their own house or have a house of their own, or can live with someone else. So ILO can pay for other types of supports. So not just group homes or carers. Most people who have ILO live with a host, so someone who runs your home, a housemate. Okay, sorry. Our new home and living policy will make it easier for you to choose where you live, who you live with, who supports you. At the moment, they have 7 main ideas that they want this policy to focus on. That you give us to their home and living policy. So that's why they're trying to get people to contribute to this policy. On the following pages, we explain the 7 ideas that they've got and how to give your feedback to them. So number 1 is changing how we talk about your home. When we talk about your home, we want to focus on how your home can help you have a good life. We want your home to be a place you enjoy living in, you can relax and be yourself, and where friends and visitors are welcome, and where you feel safe and secure. At the moment, we talk about support categories instead of your needs and what you want. So at the moment, we're just providing people, okay, there's a group home here, a group home there, or there's this place here, but not really exploring what do you really want in your home situation, and trying to then fit things to meet your needs. We want to talk about home and living supports in a new way at planning meetings. They want to have choices about your home, just like everyone else. So where you live, who you live with, who supports you, the things you use, that you should have choices about all that. Support to know your options, choosing the right home and living supports can be hard, take a long time. You might need to try different options to work out which ones suit your needs. So yeah, you might just want to try out, living in this place for a little while and they can provide some opportunities for that, for some funding for you to try out things. The policy will help to understand your options before you choose how to use your funding. It will help us plan ahead if you need to change your home and living supports soon. This could include if you live with older parents, you're a young person who wants to move out of your family home, you're leaving aged care or a group home, or you are leaving a long stay in hospital. The home you live in now doesn't meet your needs. So it's for people who are not happy where they're living at the moment and really want to explore what other options of housing there are. If you can get the information earlier, gives you more time to look at different options. Also gives you more time to make important decisions and feel ready for change. So they're saying that there needs to be more time to plan, because sometimes it seems like it only happens when it's an emergency or crisis, or say you've had an accident and then you can't go back home because it's not accessible, and they put you somewhere quickly into, it could be an aged care place or it could be a group home that may be not suitable for you. So they want people to start to explore things more. Sometimes, you just put in with people you don't know and you haven't really spent the time to meet with them and to decide, what you want. So they want more support for decision making and, and exploring your life changes. So you might be moving out of your home or aged care. You want to make sure you have the information you need and support to make decisions. We'll give you more information to help you make decisions. So they will have specialized housing support coordinators that you can get funding to hire them to help you to explore these options. And then they can give you examples of different ways home and living supports can be combined. They can give providers clear information about, home and living supports and support coordination services. And as I said, the support coordination helps you manage the supports and services in your plan. And they'll help to keep you safe, make sure you can make your own decisions. So there are going to be changes to funding. They're changing how we make your plan, how we give you funding, how you use your funding. So they're saying that they want to hear from you, how you want to use your funding.
Do they want this? When do they want this information by?
It's August, end of August. It will, I think it says at the end. So this will make it more consistent, fair and flexible. So budgets, your budget's how we split up your funding. At the moment, there's funding has 3 budgets. So they're saying the budget will give you more choice and control. We want most funding to be flexible, so you can choose what supports to spend your funding on. Some funding for home and living supports will be fixed, and you'll have to spend it on the agreed funding, but others, so the fixed ones are usually the specialist disability accommodation. They're like the group homes or some of the units that's funded for people with disabilities, or assistive technology. They usually specify what technology, once you've told them what you need, they'll give you some funding, and home modifications. So they want to help you to understand your supports and what they cost and what is best value for money. Give you examples of plans so you can decide how to use your funding for home and living supports, to choose how you use your funding. So they want to make sure everything works well, and they're saying the local area coordinators can also help you. And your planners, your NDIA planners, and the support coordinator, which is the key person that helps to explore the supports. And they can help you plan for times when something big in home is a big thing, of your family home. So to become more independent, and the support coordinator can help you with that. So if your disability needs change, you might be deteriorating and you're not sure what you're going to do and you don't want to go into a nursing home, there's a lot of other options.
Well, we've got to start wrapping up pretty soon.
Yeah.
What else is the most important parts of that document and you'd like to say?
I'll just give you pretty much tell us what you think about our new approach to home and living supports. This is a summary. And basically, there's this website that you can go in, shall I say, www.ndis.gov.au/have-your-say. So if you go into that, you can find out more about it, and you can fill out the survey as well. So I'm just going to the top. If you Google what's it called? The home and living consultations and ordinary life at home. You'll be able to find it. And I think it's the end of August that it's due by.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, you can give me a ring and I can assist you to find it and explain it a bit more. And my mobile number is 0417 529 537, or you can ring me at Yooralla 9666 4500.
Thank you so much.
So it's important that people with disabilities choose where they want to live like everyone else, and you need to feel secure, and comfortable and empowered, that you feel that you have control, that you have confidence to live the way you want, that no one is stopping you from living the way you want.
Jeanette, before we finish up,
yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier before we went on air, basically, that you've had experience for 30 years in the disability sector. And I'm so curious to know what has changed or stayed the same in housing.
Okay, with housing, probably when I first started in disability area, it was very much, just group homes. There were actually still institutions, and group homes was the new model then. So it was taking people out of bigger institutions, like, I don't know if you've heard of Kew Cottages or Janefield. They were like institutions where there were 100 people or whatever, and all living together and pretty much all very controlled, and if you had to eat at a certain time, you had to get up at a certain time, and go to bed at certain times. So pretty much regimented, and there was also quite a bit of abuse happening in those places because they were hidden away from the community. So so group homes were being developed then, when it was supposed to be like a normal home. So they were usually like up to 5 people living together in a home. In some ways, people have more freedom and everything, but I guess still in a group home there is some kind of structure and support, and the support workers are on rosters, and they are all organized by the organizations. You don't really often get a choice of who works for you. Sometimes you might interview people and choose, but in a lot of situations, group homes, there are not as many choices as, say, if you have your own place. So it has changed. I mean, group homes are still there, and it's a choice of quite a lot of people, especially if they have high supports, and parents are worried that they're not going to get the right supports. So group homes get scrutinized quite a bit. They're accountable to the government. They're checked and stuff like that. So that's a choice for some people, but other people want to live more flexible and have more decision making in their lives. And so these other models are coming up, like also the apartments where the workers are not in your space. They're not far away, but they're in their own apartment, and then you call them when you need them. So quite a few people like that model where they have their own space. And then now they're looking at other options where people are sharing with their friends or with someone they know, and they're getting support to create that sort of those networks and the supports. So things are changing, and it's important that we hear what people say. So people want to live their lives as they feel free, and people want to have relationships too, so they may want to live with their partners, all that kind of thing. Now they want to express their sexuality in different ways. There's LGBTIQA plus, and they may want to share with someone that's same sexuality, or they may want to share with different cultural groups, all that kind of thing. So it's we want to have choices and be able to make our own decisions.
Just wrapping it up now, Jeanette, just one comment from myself. So this platform and D&D's work, and even the NDIS, is based on self-advocacy. So, and I'm a big believer of forward planning, and so there's so much information to take away from this. So if people can, or with support, they can check out all the options, both old and new, and if they are having problems with their support, they can ask their support coordination people or whoever's looking after them to check out this YouTube sequence, and so because knowledge is power, and some people may be new to the sector, so they can sort of like say, oh, this YouTube channel has a segment, has a segment dedicated to housing, and to check it out as a resource to professionals.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you,
If you can
Jeanette.
stop sharing as well.
Yep.
Stop sharing the
That's
screen.
fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Better
Thank you, Jeanette Lee.
stop sharing. Here we go. So we're off air now. Or?
No, we're not. So thank you so much, the empowerment officer. Yeah, and we look
Yep.
forward to
Great.
our further collaborating. Thank you very much. So now we have to go to our funding agreement.
Okay then.
You can leave now if you like, Jeanette, and Jeanette, and we'll chat later on, because you may have other things you have to do. But you're welcome.
Okay then, Julie. We'll have to talk about the course as well. What we're doing later. Okay, I'll see you then. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So we'll just do the funding to our funding body
Yes.
and end our interview. So acknowledgements. We'd like to thank the Market Resource Centre Management of the Northwest Region for their support they give to the D&D Your Life, Your Voice project. D&D would like to thank them for providing funding for this very progressive, thinking out of the box project, especially living in these times throughout the COVID pandemic. Victoria is currently at the end of its 5th lockdown, and we hope that everyone is coping and will be out of lockdown soon. And we'd like to acknowledge that COVID-19 has been difficult for people living with disabilities, being in isolation, and this channel is especially for them. Then the next session will be providing some supports regarding COVID-19 and lockdown. We'd like to thank our guest speaker for today, and we'd like your ideas about what NDIS topics and guest speakers you'd like us to present. And you can email us on dndyourlifeyourvoice@gmail.com, and we could also leave comments on our demand site. So thank you, Goulet, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening and watching.